Hello, miladies of inestimable value. Most people are afraid of the dark, but a Sigma female is the dark. There's a reason Sigma females unsettle people. They aren't wired like everyone else. While most tiptoe through life avoiding discomfort, rejection, and loneliness, a Sigma female walks straight into the fire, unbothered, unshaken, and sometimes a little amused. Here's a fact. Psychological studies show that the rarest personality types are often the most misunderstood. Sigma females. They take this to an entirely new level. They don't just survive without approval, safety nets, or validation. They thrive in it. But what makes them truly terrifying? It's not their independence, not their intelligence. It's the fact that they fear things most people can't even live without. So buckle up, because these 10 things Sigma females are not afraid of will either inspire you or make you question everything. Number 1. Standing alone in a room full of people who dislike them. Most people break under the weight of social rejection. The idea of walking into a room where everyone dislikes them is enough to make them shrink, overthink, or desperately try to blend in. But a Sigma female? She walks in head high, eyes steady, completely unfazed. She doesn't just tolerate discomfort, she thrives in it. While others rely on approval to feel secure, she has long accepted a brutal truth. Likability is a currency she refuses to spend. If a room is filled with fake smiles, empty conversations, and people who can't stand her, it doesn't shake her. If anything, she finds it amusing. People are unsettled by someone who doesn't seek validation. It confuses them. They expect discomfort to make her crumble. But instead, she owns the space like she was invited. She doesn't need an army. She doesn't need allies whispering in her ear, hyping her up. She is the army. While most fear being judged or excluded, she has trained herself to be immune. It's not that she enjoys being disliked, it's that she simply doesn't care. And that's what makes her terrifying. When you can't manipulate someone with approval or shame them with rejection, you have no power over them. This mindset isn't arrogance, it's survival. She has walked through enough betrayals, fake friendships, and backhanded compliments to know that being liked is overrated. What matters is respect, power, and the ability to move through any space without losing herself. A room full of people who dislike her isn't a threat, it's just another room. Their opinions, irrelevant. Their whispers, background noise. Their judgment, a reflection of their own insecurities. She doesn't fear isolation because she has mastered the art of standing alone, and that, more than anything, is why she is impossible to break. Number 2, not belonging anywhere. Most people spend their lives searching for a sense of belonging. They adjust their personalities, soften their edges, and mold themselves to fit into groups, friendships, or social norms, often at the cost of their own authenticity. A Sigma female does none of that. She has long accepted that she wasn't built for traditional spaces. The cliques, the labels, the unspoken rules of fitting in, she rejects them all. Not because she thinks she's better than everyone else, but because she refuses to shrink herself to be accepted. If belonging means sacrificing her individuality, she'll gladly walk alone. This unsettles people. They don't understand how someone can exist without constantly seeking approval or validation. They wonder how she functions without a tribe to back her up, without a group chat filled with constant reassurance. But what they don't realize is that she is her own home, her own safe place, her own unshakable foundation. She isn't lonely, she's selective, she isn't lost, she's free. And the world isn't built for people like her. Society thrives on conformity, on people desperately seeking acceptance. The idea that someone can live without it, without needing to be part of something bigger, is almost threatening. People expect her to be searching for a place to belong, but she isn't. She's too busy carving out her own space, one that only a rare few will ever understand. She may float between circles, engage when necessary, and even enjoy company when it aligns with her energy. But she never needs it, and that's what makes her different. Most people are terrified of being on the outside, of being untethered. But to her, that's where true power lies. She belongs everywhere and nowhere, and that's exactly how she likes it. Number 3, holding people accountable without mercy. Most people hesitate when it comes to confrontation. They let things slide, make excuses for others, or stay silent to keep the peace. But a Sigma female She doesn't play that game. She calls out bad behavior the moment she sees it, without hesitation, without sugarcoating, and without mercy. It doesn't matter if it's a close friend, a romantic partner, or even family. If you cross a line, she will let you know. And she won't do it with passive-aggressive comments or vague hints. She'll tell you directly, with a level of clarity that makes most people uncomfortable. She doesn't care if it ruins the mood, disrupts the dynamic, or makes someone dislike her. What she cares about is integrity, accountability, and truth. This is where people get it wrong. They assume that because she's independent and private, she must also be indifferent. But the truth is, she holds people accountable because she actually cares. She refuses to stand by and watch someone she respects become the worst version of themselves. If she didn't care, she wouldn't say a word. She'd simply walk away. What makes this even scarier? She doesn't fear losing people. Most avoid accountability because they're afraid of pushing others away. A Sigma female, however, operates differently. If holding someone accountable means losing them, then they were never meant to stay. She won't beg. She won't soften her words to make the truth easier to swallow. She will say what needs to be said once. After that, it's up to you. You can either step up and fix your behavior, or you can disappear. Either way, she won't chase you. And this is why most people can't handle her. They're used to being enabled, forgiven without change, or surrounded by people too afraid to speak the truth. A Sigma female? She will look you dead in the eye and tell you exactly who you are, and whether you can handle that truth or not. That's your problem. Number 4, being misunderstood. Forever, most people crave understanding. They want to be seen, heard, and deeply known. They explain themselves, justify their actions, and go out of their way to make sure others get them. But a Sigma female, she doesn't care. She accepts. No, she embraces. The fact that most people will never fully understand her. Her mind doesn't work like everyone else's. She sees through the surface of things, questions what others blindly accept, and operates on a level that many find unsettling. Her independence, her depth, and her refusal to follow the script make her a mystery to most. And instead of exhausting herself trying to be understood, she leans into the solitude it brings. People misunderstand her silence, assuming she's arrogant or distant. They misunderstand her directness, thinking she's cold or unfeeling. They misunderstand her ability to walk away, mistaking it for a lack of loyalty. But she doesn't waste time correcting them. Let them believe what they want. She knows that the deeper the mind, the lonelier the path. Most people stick to surface-level connections, afraid of the discomfort that comes with depth. She has no interest in that. She would rather be completely misunderstood than force herself into a box that doesn't fit. This is what makes her so different. It's not that she can't explain herself. It's that she doesn't need to. The right people will see her for who she truly is without explanation. The rest, they'll form their own narratives, and she'll let them. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't need to be understood to be unstoppable. Number 5, accepting that love is a luxury, not a necessity. Most people treat love like oxygen, as if they can't survive without it. They chase it relentlessly, bend themselves to fit into relationships, and fear being alone more than they fear losing themselves. A Sigma female? She doesn't play by those rules. Love to her is a luxury, something beautiful but not essential. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, she's still whole, still thriving, still unstoppable. Unlike most, she doesn't see romantic love as the ultimate goal of life. She understands that while love can be meaningful, it is not what defines her worth, her happiness, or her success. This mindset unsettles people. Society conditions women to believe that they need love, that their life is incomplete without a partner. But a Sigma female rejects that narrative completely. She doesn't need a relationship to feel valuable. She doesn't need a partner to feel secure. And she certainly doesn't need love to give her life meaning. She creates that meaning on her own. This doesn't mean she's against love. She's not cold or incapable of deep connection. But she refuses to settle for less than what she deserves, and she will never make love her entire identity. She won't chase, beg, or force something that isn't right. If a relationship threatens her independence, drains her energy, or feels like a cage instead of a partnership, she'll walk away without hesitation. And the most terrifying part? She isn't afraid of being alone. While others fear solitude, she thrives in it. She knows that whether or not love ever enters her life, she will still be powerful, still complete, and still unstoppable. Love, for her, is not the destination. It's just a possible stop along the way. Number 6. Being disliked for doing what's right. Most people struggle with doing what's right when it comes at the cost of being liked. They hesitate, sugarcoat, or stay silent to avoid conflict. But a Sigma female, she does what's right no matter who hates her for it. She doesn't operate on the need for approval. She doesn't crave validation. And she certainly doesn't adjust her morals just to keep people comfortable. If standing by her principles makes her the villain in someone else's story, so be it. She'll take that role without flinching. This terrifies people. They're used to manipulation working. They're used to guilt, shame, and social pressure being enough to force compliance. But none of that moves her. She will not betray herself just to make others feel better. She's the one who speaks up when everyone else stays quiet. She's the one who calls out the lie when everyone else nods along. She's the one who holds the line while everyone else folds under pressure. And for that, she is often hated, resented, or misunderstood. But here's the thing, she doesn't care. She's not here to be popular. She's not here to make people feel good about their bad decisions. She's here to be real, to stand for something, and to make sure she can look herself in the mirror without regret. She accepts that doing the right thing often means standing alone. She knows that integrity is a lonely road. But she also knows that the alternative, living a life dictated by fear, cowardice, and social approval, is far worse. At the end of the day, she'd rather be hated for standing strong than loved for staying silent. Number 7. Challenging the status quo without fear of the consequences. Most people follow the rules without question. They accept traditions, obey authority, and stick to the script society hands them, even when it doesn't make sense. But a Sigma female, she challenges everything. Not for the sake of rebellion, but because she refuses to accept anything blindly. She questions systems, calls out hypocrisy, and disrupts the comfortable illusions people cling to. And she does this knowing full well that it will make her enemies, that it will cost her opportunities, that it will turn people against her. But she doesn't care. She isn't afraid of losing favor with authority figures, breaking social norms, or being labeled difficult. If something is broken, corrupt, or built on falsehoods, she will expose it, no matter the consequences. While most people are terrified of stepping out of line, she thrives in it. This makes her dangerous. People in power rely on compliance, on people being too afraid to speak up or challenge the status quo. But she's not afraid. She sees through the fear tactics and the illusion of control. And this unsettles everyone. Society is built to keep people in check, to make them feel like they have to play along to survive. But a Sigma female has no interest in playing a rigged game. She would rather burn the system down than let it break her spirit. She's the one who disrupts toxic workplaces, questions outdated traditions, and refuses to bow down to authority just because that's the way it is. This doesn't mean she's reckless. She's just unwilling to accept a life of quiet submission. She knows that standing against the status quo comes with a price. But she also knows that living in fear of consequences is no way to live at all. Number 8. Adapting to absolute chaos without losing their cool. Most people crumble when life spirals into chaos. They panic, overthink, or look for someone to fix things for them. But a Sigma female, she thrives in it. Chaos isn't something she fears. It's something she understands, navigates, and even uses to her advantage. When everything around her is falling apart, she becomes sharper, colder, and more efficient. While others waste time complaining or freezing in fear, she's already calculating her next move. She doesn't get emotional, she doesn't beg for stability, and she certainly doesn't break under pressure. She adapts. This is what makes her dangerous. People expect chaos to weaken others, to make them desperate and easier to control. But for her, chaos is just another test, one she knows she can pass. She's the type who can lose everything and rebuild from nothing without hesitation. She's been through storms before, and she's learned that survival isn't about clinging to comfort. It's about being willing to let go pivot, and move forward without fear. She doesn't waste time wishing things were easier. She focuses on what needs to be done. This mindset unsettles people. They don't understand how someone can stay so calm in the middle of a storm. They mistake her composure for detachment. But the truth is, she's just built differently. She has seen too much, been through too much to be rattled by a little destruction. While others drown in the chaos, she walks through it like it's just another day. Number 9. Facing death, literally and metaphorically. Most people spend their lives running from the idea of death, whether it's the literal fear of dying or the metaphorical fear of endings, failures, and losses. But a Sigma female? She has already made peace with all of it. She doesn't cling to things out of fear. She knows that everything, relationships, opportunities, even life itself, is temporary. And instead of letting that truth paralyze her, she uses it to live without fear. While others desperately try to hold on to what's familiar, she lets go with ease. If something needs to end, she won't fight it. If life forces her to start over, she won't hesitate. She accepts endings as part of the deal. This terrifies people. Society teaches us to fear loss, to avoid thoughts of death, to grasp at anything that makes us feel secure. But she refuses to live in denial. She has already faced the worst in her mind. She has already walked through darkness, through the kind of solitude and transformation that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. That's why she moves through life so differently. She takes risks. She speaks her mind. She doesn't waste time on things that don't matter. She isn't paralyzed by the idea of failure or rejection because she understands that everything, even suffering, is temporary. And when it comes to literal death, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't waste time fearing the inevitable. Instead, she focuses on what she can control, how she lives, how she impacts the world, and how she leaves without regrets. Most people fear death because they haven't truly lived. A Sigma female. She's not afraid of the end because she has made every moment count. Number 10. Letting people underestimate them. Most people can't stand being underestimated. They feel the need to prove themselves, to defend their intelligence, strength, or abilities the moment someone doubts them. But a Sigma female? She stays silent and lets people think whatever they want. She doesn't waste energy correcting false assumptions. If someone thinks she's weak, naive, or incapable, she lets them. Why? Because she knows that underestimation is a weapon, a tool she can use to move unnoticed, gather information, and strike when no one sees it coming. People expect confidence to be loud, obvious, in your face, but hers is quiet, controlled, and deadly. She doesn't need to convince anyone of her strength. She simply waits for the moment when reality makes it undeniable. This is what makes her so dangerous. While others waste time proving themselves, she plays the long game. She watches, listens, and waits for the perfect moment to reveal what she's truly capable of. And when she does, it's already too late for anyone to stop her. Underestimation gives her the upper hand. It allows her to observe without being seen as a threat, to work in silence while others focus on the wrong people. By the time they realize she was never weak, never clueless, never behind, it's already over. She has already won. So she doesn't argue, she doesn't explain. She just smiles, nods, and lets them underestimate her. Because she knows exactly how this story ends. The most unsettling thing about a Sigma female isn't her strength, it's her absolute freedom. She doesn't fear rejection, loneliness, chaos, or even death itself. She moves through life unshaken, unbothered, and unwilling to be controlled by the things that weaken others. While most seek approval, she remains indifferent. While others avoid conflict, she walks into it without hesitation. While the world clings to comfort, she thrives in the unknown. People fear what they cannot predict, and that's what makes her dangerous. She doesn't follow the script. She won't beg for love, soften her truth, or conform just to be accepted. She doesn't care if people misunderstand her, underestimate her, or even hate her, because none of it affects her path. She will succeed, with or without approval, and that is why she is unstoppable. If this resonated with you, if you see yourself in these words, or if you know someone who embodies this unstoppable energy, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button to let us know you're here. Subscribe so you never miss content that speaks to your soul. Drop a comment and tell us which part hit the hardest. And most importantly, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the world needs more people who refuse to be controlled. More sigma energy.